Colin.
Please welcome as our speaker this morning our guest, and one who has just given a whole lot to be here with us today, and we thank him, Mr. Tim Patton. I'll let him announce his rank. I'm not sure what it is.
Good job, Tom. You make it.
Well, first off, I would like to say thank you, Mr. North, for having me. It's a pleasure, and I was greatly honored to be asked to come up. Please excuse me for a minute. I'm not a public speaker, so we'll just have to go with it as we can. I'm a sergeant in the Ohio Army National Guard. I've served in the National Guard for about 7.5 years now. I've been in since 2005. I have been a wheeled vehicle mechanic. I was also a nuclear, biological, chemical NCO as well. That was definitely an interesting part of my career. Also, I would like to have any veterans that are here, please stand or raise your hand. I would like to say thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for everything. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today. Let's see, put over my little notes here. Like I said, I'm currently with the Ohio Army National Guard, Portsmouth unit, just right over the hill. So we probably wake you up every weekend, or at least one weekend a month, with our trucks starting up every day. I was what's called an involuntary cross level. I was with the 216th Engineer Battalion here and was cross level to the 37th Infantry Brigade combat teams, which is a very large organization in Ohio. We were about 3,600 personnel strong in Afghanistan. I worked down in Bagram. It's in Parwan province. It's about 45 minutes north of Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. I was a gate guard. I supervised about 5 or 6 soldiers. Our job was to intercept car bombs, narcotics, drugs, anything that shouldn't be brought into a United States post. We collected and searched personnel as well. I was also privileged to work with the Afghan National Army. We also had SOC, which is a private security team that brings in Afghan locals to come in and work with us. Also helps, with getting them jobs and moving their country along further. Operation, we worked, it was a rather cool thing to see for me. We had what was called Operation Pencil. A few of us all got together, and the kids that would come in to our facility, we ran security for a prison. The children would come in to visit the family members in the facility there. So we would take them off to the side, and they had a little classroom where they could come in, color, draw, whatever they wanted. We gave them pencils, pens, writing, books, just anything they wanted. One day I was out working. I was searching cars, as usual, It got to be very, very tasking at times, but it wasn't very bad. The children came along, and they said, "We're thirsty, Sergeant, we're thirsty." Okay. That was quite normal, so we went over to, me and one of my other soldiers walked over to our cooler, picked up a couple of water bottles, gave to them, and then I realized in my assault bag that I had with me, oh, wait a minute, I have Kool-Aid packages. And the little Kool-Aid packages that you mix up in water. So I had just enough for the children that were there. They came up, how do we put this in the bottle? How does this work? So I showed them. I put it in the bottle for them, shook it up. They were so amazed at just the change of color in the water. Because it turned red, and it was fruit punch. Absolutely loved it. And I have never seen so many kids so hyper from Kool-Aid. Just running around having fun. They enjoyed it. So from then on, everybody teased me and oh, there's Sergeant Penley and his Kool-Aid kids. It was very interesting. Like I said before, veterans, today's Veterans Day. Without what you veterans have done, none of us could do anything here. You are the unsung heroes, and I'm sure as much as you veterans know, some of the heroes that they didn't make it back. Those are the real heroes in my book. Anyway, excuse me, I'm sorry. There's just a certain bond that you have. You're all brothers, you're all sisters. We're a huge family. And one thing I do have to give credit to is the support that I had back home. Many of you, I don't know if you do, I'm sure you had, sent gift boxes and care packages. And I got numerous letters from my grandmother, which was wonderful. That is a huge support back where we are at. Soldiers can't ask enough for it, especially when we get candy that we haven't had for 6 months on end. Yeah, it's just a very, very great feeling to know that you have support back home. And then when you come back home, you step off that plane and you see the people from the USO standing there, clapping and carrying on and having fun. That was a very interesting thing. Now, like I said before, I'm not much of a public speaker, so I'm going to kind of open this up, do something a little different. If there's any questions from the crowd of what I've done or how things went for me over there, I'm more than welcome to answer questions if you have them at this time.
How long were you there?
I was there for 9 months. I spent 4 months in training, 9 months in country. I was in Afghanistan from January 24th to, well, just the end of October, or the end of September, so I came back in October. Anybody else?
How were you treated there?
The Afghan locals were very kind to us, very kind. Of course, in any culture, you're going to have the radicals. But for the most part, those people were very kind, were very, very good to you. If, it's obviously it's Afghanistan, they don't have very much. And I would happen to walk upon them while they were eating. And before they would eat, they would say, "Sergeant, sit down, eat my food." If you walked upon them, they were sitting down, and they said, "Sergeant, why are you standing? Please sit here. Get up, sit." And they would be forceful about it. They would say, no, sit, and then grab you and make you sit if you didn't sit. Well, that depended. It's definitely nothing like home cooking back here. Some of the food was very interesting. We had flatbread that they would bring in. And of course, like I said, I worked for the prison. I was security for the prison. And we had this guy, he came in every day. We called him the bread man. We didn't know his name. We just knew him as the bread man. He came in with his van full of bread. And he would come up, Sergeant, here's bread. Take the bread, take bread. So he would give us bread every morning. So if, wonderful Army chow, if you weren't happy with breakfast, you just waited till you got bread. You had bread for breakfast, which it was very filling, because it was probably got this big around. Very tasty. Anybody else? I saw a hand in the back, Rick, sir, there.
He answered, that's a question I was gonna ask, the same one he asked.
Oh, okay. Anybody else?
Do you feel hopeful for Afghanistan?
Yes, I do. Just like anything, you're going to have some people in there that want to try to do their own thing. But they are very smart. They need help, and that's what we're there for. And without us, they wouldn't be able to, knock out the Taliban regime. They need that out of there. Every country should have the rights that we have. There's no reason why anybody else should get pressed like they are. But they are very willing to work. I worked with them every day. Very interesting people. Very interesting. But for the most part, they are very willing to learn and to work, to rebuild.
Taliban is still strong.
No, it's mostly just an insurgency, where they come in from other countries. But where I was at was a very quiet area. The locals that I worked with, they absolutely hate and despise the Taliban. They do not like them. We talked to the Afghan army and the SOC guards that we worked with every day. They despise them. One of them gone. And every one of them came up to us and said, thank you for coming here. Thank you for working with us. And thank you for getting these guys out. Very appreciative. Anybody else? Okay. Well, like I said before, today's Veterans Day. It's time to honor those veterans that are here and those that didn't make it back. It is a very special day to me, not only just because I am a veteran, but I have family that's veteran. And they mean a very lot to me. And I'm very appreciative of Hillview and Mr. North asking me to come in. And I'm glad every one of you can make it. It's an outstanding audience to see all these faces in here. Once again, thank you for having me.